Hello students, today we are going to discuss Unit 4 of World Literature in Translation. It is a novel, One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, which was written by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. This novel was published in 1962. It is considered as a seminal novel, which means highly influential, and it is considered as a seed for future movement, for the future generation. This novel provides a stark, realistic account in a single routine day in a Soviet labor camp in Gulag during the early 1950s under Joseph Stalin's regime. This novel completely revolves around the character, the protagonist, Ivan Denisovich, who was falsely accused and serving 10 years sentence after captured by the Germans during World War II and subsequently accused by a Soviets of being a spy. Before getting into this novel, we'll have a brief introduction about the author, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He was a Soviet and Russian author who helped to raise global awareness of political repression in the Soviet Union, especially during the Gulag prison system. He was awarded the 1970 Nobel Prize in Literature for the ethical force with which he has pursued the indispensable traditions of Russian literature through his writing. As I said before, this novel was published in 1962 during Khrushchev. Kurukshetra is a period between mid 1950s to mid 1960s. Was a period of Soviet policy following Stalin's death, characterized by the reduced censorship, release of political prisoners, and decrease of political terror. Through Alexander's writing, we can witness the reality of Soviet Union camp in Gulag. So, okay, this novel, One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, was published in a Soviet literary magazine called Novi Mir, which means a new world. The setting of this novel was a winter season, a cold winter season in Soviet labor camp in early 1950s during Joseph Stalin's period. This novel features the day of prisoner Ivan Denisovich Sukov. Yeah, that was his full name, Ivan Denisovich Sukov. He was addressed as Sukov throughout this novel. The routine of the prisoners in this campus, they has to wake up early before they wake up alarm. They has to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. If they sleep past the wake up alarm, means the camp officer will give a punishment to the prisoners. That was the morning routine of the every prisoners. We can divide the prisoners routine into three parts. The one is morning ritual, the second one is the work day, and the third part is evening part or the resolution part. So every morning they will wake up at 5. Ivan Denisovich wakes up at 4:30 every day, but that day he was unwell, so he slept past the wake up alarm. Unfortunately, that day the new camp officer came to the camp, and Ivan was given a punishment to clean the guardhouse, which means the headquarters, and it is considered as a minor punishment in the camp. After the breakfast, he visits the clinic to treat his fever. He asked for ointment, but his treatment was denied. Look at the reason. His treatment was denied as his fever is not high enough to be treated. Oh my god. Okay. After that, in camp they were given only the little amount of food. So what he does is he hid his breakfast bread during the body search. The prisoners were gone through it checking every day, so he hides his breakfast bread as they were given a very little food and are forced to work outside. Yes, even Denisovich works along with his team. They were called as Squad 104 or the Gang 104. They were working in a construction site. They were building a wall in a camp. They were working in a cold weather. Though the climate was very poor, though the health condition of Ivan was very poor, he does his work to the fullest, because that's how he survives in this prison. Because as I said before, he was falsely accused by the Germans during the World War Two as a spy. So how he passing his days in the prison means he enjoys what he does in the camp. The ultimate goal of Ivan Denisovich is not getting punishment. That's what he wish every day. So as back to his routine and back to that day, as he has a bad health condition, uh, even in that bad health condition, he works very hard and he feels very proud because he was rewarded with extra bread for his work performance that day. So how the narrator concludes the story is, when we read this novel, we feel, oh my God, what are the difficulties they have gone through in this camp. But he's telling that the narrator is telling that, um, this is just this that day has been just one of the 3653 days of Sukhov's sentence. Yes, he was sentenced for 10 years, so it is totally 3653 days. So it is just one of 3653 days. That's how the novel concludes by the narrator. We have so many characters in this novel, starting from Ivan Denisovich, Sukhov to Andrel, but this novel focuses on the four major characters. That is, the first major character in this novel is Ivan Denisovich Sukhov. He is the protagonist of this play. The readers, we can see the Russian camp life through his eyes. We can see the Russian camp's information through his thoughts, his feelings, and by his action. Ivan is a name which was given to him. His patronymic, which means the original name, which is given by his parents, was Denisovich, which means son of Denis, and his character is referred by his surname Sukhov throughout this novel. Sukhov was sentenced in Soviet Gulag prison system during Joseph Stalin's period for 10 years. Actually, he is innocent. He is accused for being a spy after being captured, not before getting caught, but he was accused of becoming a spy after being captured by the Germans during World War Two. He is a dignified man. He has dignity. He follows rules very perfectly. Uh, he removes his hands while he is eating. He gives respect to the food that he is going to have. He was about to have. Uh, because it is very hard to get enough food in the camp. So he gives respect to the food, and the ultimate goal of Ivan Denisovich in the Soviet camp is not getting punishment. He wants to get a good name only. So that was the character of Ivan Denisovich Suko. So the other major characters in this novel is Tayurin, Bainovsky, and Fechikov. Tyron is a 19-year-old veteran of the Gulag. He is the seasoned leader of Squad 104. He is the leader to this gang 104, and he has that father figure because he protects his men. He is little strict towards his team. He is expertise in manipulating the system to get better assignments and rations. Rations in essential for the squad survival. He takes care of his squad very well. He shares their sufferings, uh, and yes, he has that responsibility to take care of his men. And the second character is Bainovsky. Bainovsky is a captain. He's a newcomer to the comer and former Soviet naval officer. He is unfamiliar with the camp life. His attempts to protest against the gods lead to 10 days in a solitary confinement. It is like a likely a death sentence because he was a former naval officer and he's new to the camp, so he doesn't know the rules and regulations of the camp, and he tried to go against the camp officer, and that leads to a terrible punishment. And the third character is Fetaikov. He is known as the scrounger. He represents the loss of human dignity. He shamelessly begs for scrapes and the tobacco to everyone in the camp, he earns the contempt of fellow inmates who believe his lack of self-respect will lead to his downfall. That's how his character is, because he begs for to the other prisoners. He loses his dignity. He does not cares about his dignity and go after the prisoners. Uh, so these are the major characters in this novel, and there is another more character which is called who's called Alyoska the Baptist. He is Ivan's bunkmate, whose unwavering faith allows him to find spiritual peace despite the camp's brutality. He views his imprisonment as an opportunity to focus on his soul. So he is one of the character, and there is another one character is called Tezed Markovich. He is a wealthy and intellectual former filmmaker from Moscow. He works in a Kashi. He works in a Kashi office job and regularly receives food parcels. So after coming to this scam, obviously he felt very bad. So which he uses to bribe officials and reward those like Ivan who do him favor, which means he bribes from the officials and use that money to reward persons like Ivan who does any favors to him. So these are the major characters in this novel, Ivan Denisovich. So okay, let's move to the themes of this novel. The first theme is survival and dignity. Uh, Obviously, the character Suko represents the survival. He represents the survival with dignity. It focuses on the minute details of staying alive, food, warmth, and avoiding punishment. Suko's small triumph, securing extra rations, extra breakfast breads, and completing the daily work with quality. Everything represents his survival and dignity in the camp, because he is maintaining that integrity every day. Though he was falsely accused, he has the dignity. He has his identity. He wants that to be maintained in a proper way. Suko maintains his self respect through small rituals like removing hats before eating, even in the freezing cold weather. That's how he maintains his dignity. The second theme is inhumanity of the Gulag. The camp serves as a microcosm of the Soviet state, where individuals are reduced to numbers. So the novel expresses the difficulties and cruelties of the nature of Soviet labor camp, and their physical and psychological effects effects of the prisoners. The third theme is time and routine. Yes, the time is monotonous. They has to survive every day. The prisoner has to survive every day. Uh, as it is a long day. Sometimes they feel it is a long day, sometimes the days just like that goes, so they has to follow their everyday routine whatever happens. That is the third theme. And the last one is faith and hope. Towards the end, Suko discusses God and prayer with Alaiska, a devout the Baptist prisoner, illustrating how internal faith can provide spiritual survival. because despite harsh reality uh, of being accused, we should have something to hold on, because there in the prison they don't have anything to rely on. So hope and faith is the only thing they can rely on. So he holds to that with the help of Alaiska. So these are the central themes in this novel One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. So the weight of the time, as I said before, Suko was sentenced for 10 years. The In this novel, Suko is the protagonist, but the antagonist is the time. So Suko calculates his life in prison 10 years. So it is totally 3,653 days. And this novel focuses only the single day in one of the 3,653 days. That is a burden for Ivan. So the symbols and motives of this novel is the spoon, the bread, the coal, and the wall. The spoon. It is Sukov's handmade aluminium spoon in his most prized possession. He hides his spoon in his boots. It symbolizes his individuality and self-preservation in a world where everything is communal and dehumanizing. The spoon represents a hidden freedom and the dignity of owning something unique that he created himself. So it represents the self reliance too. And the second symbol is the bread. In this novel, the bread is not just a food, it's a life, because he is working very hard to earn it. uh, Bread, it's a dual symbol of physical and spiritual sustenance. While most prisoners obsess over its weight for survival, uh, so, well, Alaska links it to the daily bread of the Lord's Prayer. Suko's act of sharing biscuit with Alaska at the end of the novel signifies a shift from mere physical hunger to feeding his soul. That's how the bread symbolizes in this novel. And the third one is the motif, the code. The code represents the inescapable oppression. Yes, the inescapable oppression of Soviet regime. The sub-zero temperature serves as a physical manifestation of the state's cruelty, making the struggle for warmth a constant life or death battle, because it is very hard to survive in that extreme cold weather. The last symbol is the wall. It is a man's-eye work of Suko performs at the power station, symbolizes human dignity and purpose by taking pride in laying bricks perfectly despite being a slave in the labor system. Suko asserts his mastery over his environment and refuses to be broken by the system. So these are the symbols and motives of this novel. And also uh, and also there is another one symbol. It is Chess's parcel. It represents worldly pleasure and the outside world's abundance. It also highlights the camp's internal hierarchy and the culture of bribery, as Tessa uses his goods to buy protection and better treatment. So it is considered as a bribery. So these are the major symbols. At the end of this novel, Ivan Denisovich, Ivan Denisovich's day ends without dramatic events. He survives 24 hours of dehumanizing Soviet labor by finding dignity in hard work and the victory of securing an extra bowl of soup. That's what his routine is in this Soviet labor camp. That's how the Naita ends this novel, One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. Thank you.